So just wanted to just very briefly touch on the how the government chips in for the cost of child rearing. It's a long time since Peter Costello brought in the baby bonus, so that's long gone. So I can't remember what budget it was, but it was probably 2006 or 2007 when Peter Costello suggested that we should have one for mum, one for dad, and one for the country, and he was going to hand over a lump sum at birth. So the main things that people get concerned about is, and I've tried to order these in terms of when they turn up. So parental leave is obviously something that's relatively recent, and that's getting longer and longer. And there's now the ability to, in fact, there's now a compulsory allocation of it to the father.
And super. And they pay super on it now, which is good.
Yeah. I must admit, I'm a little bit in two minds about that, adding super to parental leave. That
Why?
I think it would be better to give parents the choice. As I said, this is a time when money's tight, and forcing people to delay spending that for what's potentially another 35 or 40 years, I'm not sure it's particularly good policy. I mean, I get that paying that if some is good, more is better when it comes to payments when you're receiving them. But if you're going to add 11 or 12% to the payment, how about giving the parents the choice? So the point about parental leave today is you can get up to 22 weeks, and it's going to 24 weeks in July and 26 weeks next year. And it's paid at the minimum wage. So if you're earning a reasonable sum, you will still see a decline in your income. So dealing with the drop in pay is something you need to plan for.
I think it is. Oh, sorry. On that point, go on.
No, go on.
Yeah. I think one thing as well, like to the point about super, it is something also to be mindful of, because while you're on parental leave, I mean, it's good that now we have superannuation payments, but it might not be as much as if you were kind of working. And there is a pretty big super gap between men and women, mainly because of this break that a lot of women often take to have kids. So something else to be mindful of in the costs.
Yeah. And again, that sort of comes back to the, how do I spend my money, and should I be contributing to super? Maybe this is a time to take advantage of the spouse co-contribution, get some free money. But it's important to plan this budget, because for most people, not only their expenses are going to go up, but their income is going to go down for a period. So pre-planning for that's absolutely critical. And many employers will top this up. And sometimes that might be a reason to think about who you work for before you start planning on having a family.
Yeah, exactly. And we have actually a friend. There were no policy in their company about paid parental leave, and she made it change. And now they're paying her and other women that had a baby in the company.
And their partners as well. Like the partners are able to have a bit of time off as well.
Yep.
She even spoke to her partner's company and convinced them to allow their partner to take a bit more time off with the baby. So even if you don't have it at your workplace, could be a time to start. And not only will you help yourself and your family, but potentially other families as well, like moving forward. So cool.
I took some time off when he was 2, and I was the stay-at-home dad for a while. Got heavily involved in running the voluntary childcare centre and realised what a horrible business that is. So not only is it expensive, and it's become a lot more expensive since the Gillard government changed a lot of the rules about how many babies a childcare worker can look after and all the extra services they have to deliver it. So it's got a lot more expensive. But just sticking on parental leave for a moment, this is really this is where you need to think in advance, because you need to have met a work test in the 13 months leading up to the birth. And so you might not want to be, you might be careful changing jobs too close to the event. And there is an income test, but it covers household income up to $360,000, which is all but the top 3 or 4% of households. So for most people are going to who have been working will qualify for some, and there's now a compulsory allocation to the non-birth parent.
Yeah.
And I think you need to
previously known as fathers.
In Australia for at least 2 years, because we had friends that did not receive it because they just arrived 1.5 years ago.
Yeah. And also agree with Jade. It's so good that we have super on paid parental leave, because more women are going to have more money in their super, and just parents in general taking parental leave. So it's really good.
The old dad and partner pay has been canned, and now it's been replaced by a reservation of part of the normal parental leave. So now part of what will be 26 weeks from next year will be, I think 2 of it's reserved for the non-birth partner.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when you actually deliver it, now you get some money from Centrelink. It's a lump sum, not a particularly large one, but will probably get you a car seat and a few other bits and pieces.
It will get you a car seat, but much later than when you need the car seat, because just so you know, like when you apply for it, it takes like a couple of weeks that you get approved, and then another couple of weeks that you get the money in the bank account. So don't think when the baby is born, the money is going to arrive straight away. It's going to take at least maybe a month or something like that you get your application approved and all these things.
So possibly not even time to meet the credit card bill. So you do need to plan in advance.
Exactly.
So these are available for download. So I'm not going to labor each point on this. Then there's some more stuff that you get if you're otherwise eligible for Family Tax Benefit A. Now, this is a really complicated one, particularly if you're separated from the baby's other parent. And this is where getting really good advice on the separation is really critical, because generally you can't get a full Family Tax Benefit A unless you've got assessed for childcare, for child support, even if you're not paying it. So it can be quite complex here, but generally this is a good plus. And then we get on to Family Tax Benefit A. So this is a supplement that you get in your you get it paid either through your tax return at the end of the year or fortnightly from Centrelink. And if your income is uncertain, particularly where you're not sure whether you're going back to work or not, it can be a bit safer to get this in your tax return. And it will depend on the way the income in the household is split. So there's a good calculator on the ATO website, so I would recommend you do this. But this is one of the benefits of, we talked about investment bonds earlier, that even though they may not be the most tax efficient in the world if you're not a top rate taxpayer, and top rate doesn't cut in until $200,000, so you sort of need 2 top rate taxpayers in a household. So that's a pretty high income household. But it can help you with your FTA and FTB claim because it doesn't turn up in your tax return. So there is a little bit of arbitrage here. So it just takes good financial modeling to get there. That if you just look at investment bond on its own, if you're not a top rate taxpayer, it makes very little sense because it pays tax at 30% and it doesn't get the CGT discount. So your effective tax rate is going to be 30% less franking credits. Whereas if you held the asset, even as a top rate taxpayer, you'd pay 47 on the income and 23.5 on the capital gain. So your average tax rate's going to be pretty close to 30, depending on how much franking there is. And if you're a lower rate taxpayer, it doesn't make sense. But it can improve your access to the family tax benefit A and B. So lots of complex modelling there. So let's skip over. Yeah, I think we'll probably just let people download these and check out the article on our website. So for those of you who are going to be the principal carers, so you're not potentially not working, then there's obviously parenting payments and other benefits. So I think we're sort of moving on a bit in terms of time. So I think it's probably better to move on to questions than move through these. These slides are available for download.